Bring it back.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Car Mechanics Simulator. So, if you remember last time, we stripped out all the suspension, the engine, and all the components out of our RX7. But this time, we've got to strip, repair, and rebuild the engine. I'm not especially skilled with or knowledgeable about rotary engines, so bear with me if I make any sort of technical errors or put things back in the wrong order, that sort of thing. But basically, let's crack on with it. We've just got to strip everything off first, sort of take it down to its bare components, see what we can repair, see what we need to buy new. This is sort of the official DLC for the game, so we should be able to get all parts new that we need. Hopefully though, with a 95% repair chance, which I've now got, we should be able to recover a fair amount of the parts. So if you see, all that I've taken off is just the timing belt, basically, the power steering pump. The water pump come off already? Water pump, probably. I think it's probably a chain drive. It's probably underneath this cover. Yeah, there we go. There's the timing chain. So the rest are just auxiliary belts. So that's most of the front. Oh, there's the water pump. Look, it's a fairly hefty water pump. Take that off. The alternator, important part. So we've got the throttle bodies at the top. So I'm going to strip this right back down to the block. I want the engine to be entirely like 100% once it's rebuilt. I don't want any sort of non-perfect components. So everything's got to come off. Fuel rail, intake manifold, a floating fuel filter. Ignition wires, and there's the coil. I still think that this engine is probably a little out of scale compared to what it is when it's in the car. I guess they're probably separate models, and sort of as a consequence of that, it looks a little bit funny when it's out of the car. I don't think, well, you can see, I mean, that's the block. It's quite small compared to the car. I just think it's a little bit out of proportion. Let me know what you think. See if you think differently. Also, feel free to let me know if any of my rotary engine knowledge is letting me down. Most of my knowledge of rotaries comes from Rob Dam's channel. So feel free to update me if I'm getting anything wrong. So we'll disassemble the clutch, the flywheel, all that, and then basically it should be a case of taking the front housing off, and this should expose the rotary. Yeah. So, if you don't know, this is the rotor. It acts like, basically it's the piston for the engine. As it rotates in a circular motion rather than a vertical up-down motion like a normal piston, it then generates the driving force that way. If that sort of vaguely makes sense, that's a terrible explanation, but look it up. See the rotor on the back, like the housing at. So the rotor housing is the block, as in the block you'd have on a normal engine. So there we go, completely disassembled. So let's, just thought of an error I've probably made. I bet I didn't fully clear out my inventory beforehand. Oh no, I did. Oh, awesome! What a hero I am. So let's go over to the repair bench and basically see what I can repair. Hopefully everything, but that's just not going to be the case. So let's have a look. So we've repaired a reasonable amount of the bits. I think it's just going to be a case of let's go back into build mode, see what we can repair as we go along. Part mount. So we managed to get that back up to 100% of that, lovely, shiny and new. Why it lets me fit the fuel filter just to float in midair? That's a little bit of a bug there, I think. Crankshaft, brand new. Nice brand new housing. No, not a new ignition coil. Have the rotors all been repaired? No. So I need a pair of brand new rotors. If the shop's going to load. Can you see them? There they are. We want 2 of these bad boys. And then this is basically, so in a traditional car, that's basically the main block reassembled and the pistons back in, or the rotors in this case. The front housing, hopefully the back housing. Is that now looking nice and shiny or what? Crank counterweight needs to be new. Needs to be new. Alternator got nicely repaired up, that's good. What about the ignition coil? No. So let's get 4 spark plugs. Spark. 1, 2, 3, 4. An oil filter. Fuel filter that can hover. There we go, the old classic hovering fuel filter. Let's bung these back on. There we go, spark plugs back in, floating fuel filter back in, and a brand new oil filter. So let's have a look at the manifold, the exhaust manifold, back to full health. It looks it's so nice to build a car. It's like one of the first ones I've done where everything is brand new and shiny. There's no rust on anything or damaged bits. It's just lovely. Look at that. Put the intake back on. So I need an ignition coil as a flywheel. Okay, let's get an ignition coil and a flywheel. Flywheel. Bung these both back on. If you're enjoying these car mechanic simulator videos, it'd be really good if you could subscribe to the channel. I've only got 11 subscribers at the time of this, so still an extremely small channel, so any help with that sort of thing is just so useful, and there's such a, whenever I get a sub, I just absolutely love it. It makes such a difference to my day. It sounds pathetic, and it probably is, but it really does make a difference. So yeah, if you can subscribe, guys, that would be awesome. So let's stick the ignition wires back on. What else have we got to buy? Fuel rail, is that need doing? No, nice brand new fuel rail. Bolt that in. Brand new intake manifold from the top of the engine. And the throttle body's been repaired. With that 95% repair chance doing its job on those few bits. I doubt these idle rollers are going to have been repaired. So, idle roller. I think I need an idle roller A as well, and maybe another B. We've got enough money to try and preempt that sort of thing. Crankshaft counterweight and a sprocket. Crankshaft counterweight. There we go. Look at that. It's nice to be able to buy the parts new from the shop. I don't have to go scavenging around the junkyard trying to find the bit I need. Put the sprocket on, the idle roller. I doubt the timing. No. Some bits just aren't repairable normally. It's normally like the small bits, anything throwaway like the filters, are just aren't repairable. So you're always going to have to buy them new. And then small bits like timing chains, the belts, sprockets and rollers and all that sort of thing just never get repaired. So you're always going to have to buy new parts no matter what the car is. But generally the main components like the block, what's the housings in this case for the different rotors, are all repairable. So arm A, arm B. Arm B. So it's really now just a case of just finishing this off, getting the last bits in. So all the timing components and all the ancillary components. That power steering pump is repairable. Wouldn't have thought of that. Get everything back on. Good job we bought 2 idle rollers there. Saved a little bit of time. It's a crankshaft pulley. Almost looked like that said V8 crankshaft pulley. Okay. That doesn't quite tie into the rest of the vehicle, but hey ho. Serpentine belts. Yeah, we're going to need both of them. I'm pretty sure it has 2 for the Serpentine belt. RX7A. I'll buy one of them just in case as well. So ending with a few little excess parts that I don't really need, but hey ho. Oh, I haven't even got an idle roller A to put in there, which we've got. Put the final belt on. Oh no. Another idle roller A that I didn't consider. Idle roller A. Mount that on. What else am I going to have forgotten, if anything? Is that the engine all back up and built, I believe? Ah, clutch. That's quite an integral part if we want to be able to drive the car. Clutch pressure plate. Clutch pressure plate. And for $35 we might as well buy a release bearing as well, just in case our one is knackered. So put the pressure plate back on. Bolt that in. We should have the release bearing, which I'm struggling to see. And that should be it, because then the gearbox should bolt on top of that, but obviously we can't put that on until that's back into the car. So let me just double check that we've not forgotten anything. If I've forgotten anything and you're shouting at your screens, I apologise. As I say, don't know the Rotary engines that well. Okay, let's bring over the engine crane. Where's that gone? Grab this, move equipment to... Okay, perhaps I don't need the engine crane. Can I just use this to lower it back in? I appear to have... Ah, got an engine. I'm carrying the engine. So move equipment to the A. Surely an oil drain plug. It can't be the cause of my entire woe. Oops. So now, if we put this back then, move equipment back, we should open this to a brand shiny spanking new Rotary engine. Voila. Look at that baby. Now you see, does that look bigger to you now that's in the car? No, perhaps not. There's just quite a lot of spare room there, isn't there? But look how shiny and nice that looks. So I'm very pleased with that. I did get have put all the rest of the parts we took off yesterday into the warehouse after repairing a few of them. So we can put things like the... Oops, no, I do not wish to do that. I should take that, the starter, the drive shaft, the fan housing, the radiator and the 2 fans. So we can just fit a few little extra bits while we've got some time. Let's put the radiator back in. So this can start to look like a car again a little bit. So that. Then let's jack this thing up. And then I intend to put in the gearbox on the back of the engine and then the drive shaft to run down the centre. On here, look, we can fit the gearbox, nice and brand new, fully 100% condition. Presumably the starter motor, there it is. Again, the V8 starter motor, I'm not quite sure why that is. Oh, and then it won't let me run the drive shaft. Oh, it obviously requires the rear differential to be put in first. Fair enough. Okay, I think that'll do for this episode, guys. So next time I will get all the bits ready now for the next episode, and then next time it's going to be a case of sticking all the suspension, drive shaft, rear comparts back on the car, taking the car to the spray booth, and then we'll be done and we have a fully operational Mazda RX7. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed it, remember to give the channel a sub. Thanks, see you on the next one.